Have you ever been lying in bed on a hot night, the fan blasting, the air feeling heavy on your skin, and you tell yourself, I'm not using a blanket tonight. So you kick it off, you turn to one side, then the other. You feel the sweat on your back, the sheets sticking a little, your mind refusing to slow down. Minutes pass, maybe longer, and without even thinking, you reach for the blanket again. Not fully, just halfway, over your legs, maybe just up to your waist, and suddenly, something shifts. Your shoulders drop, your breathing softens, and now, somehow, sleep feels possible. You know it doesn't make logical sense. You're still warm, the fan is still on, but without that cover, your body just wouldn't let go. And the truth is, this moment has almost nothing to do with temperature. What's really happening is much deeper. Your brain is responding to something invisible, something emotional, something wired into you long before you ever thought about sleep hygiene or comfort. And once you see this from a psychological point of view, you stop judging yourself, you stop wondering what's wrong with you, because you realize this habit isn't random at all. It's your mind doing exactly what it was designed to do. And the reason why might surprise you more than you expect. When you think about it, sleep is the only moment of your day when you completely disappear. Your eyes are closed, your muscles go slack, your awareness fades. You're not watching, reacting, or protecting yourself. And from the brain's point of view, that's a very vulnerable state. The truth is, your brain doesn't experience sleep as rest first. It experiences it as letting your guard down. From a psychological point of view, going to sleep means giving up control. And what few people realize is that your brain is still operating with ancient rules. Long before beds, houses, and locked doors, falling asleep meant being exposed. Anything could happen. So the brain learns something simple and powerful. Before shutting down, check if you're safe. That's where the blanket comes in. Being covered sends a nonverbal message straight to your nervous system. No words, no logic, just a quiet signal that says protection is in place. That's why even a thin sheet can work. It's not about warmth. It's not about comfort in the way we usually think about it. It's about not feeling exposed. The moment your body feels contained, your nervous system starts to soften. Your breathing slows, your muscles release. The blanket becomes a kind of invisible boundary between you and the world, a silent signal telling your brain, you're safe enough to shut down now. And once you understand that, an even more interesting question appears. Because safety is only part of the story, and your body is responding to something else too. Something you feel, but probably never noticed. Have you ever noticed that the blanket you love the most is rarely the lightest one? There's something about a bit of weight that just feels better. More grounding, more calming. Even if you can't explain why, your body seems to know. And the truth is, it's not in your head. Or at least not in the way people usually mean that. When gentle pressure rests on your body, your nervous system reads it as a calming signal. From the brain's point of view, that soft, steady weight means there's no need to stay alert. It's like your body finally gets permission to slow down. Your breathing becomes deeper, your heart rate eases, and your brain starts releasing the chemicals that help you relax and drift towards sleep. Nothing dramatic, nothing intense, just a quiet shift from tension to safety. That's why this feeling is so hard to replace. Your blanket isn't just fabric covering your skin, it's doing emotional work for your brain, helping it move from on to off. And this is exactly why weighted blankets didn't suddenly become popular by accident. People didn't discover a trend, they rediscovered a feeling their nervous systems had been craving all along. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because pressure alone doesn't explain why the same blanket feels right every single night, while another one doesn't. Think about what your day actually feels like before you go to bed. Messages, decisions, conversations, expectations. Your brain spends hours reacting, adapting, performing. Even when you're physically tired, mentally, you're still on. And then there's that moment. You get into bed, you pull the blanket over yourself, and something clicks. From a psychological perspective, that action is much bigger than it seems. The blanket isn't just covering your body, it's marking the end of the day. It becomes a quiet signal that separates the outside world from rest.
What few people stop to notice is how much the brain depends on these transitions. Your brain loves clear endings and clear beginnings. That's why routines work. That's why certain actions tell your mind this phase is over. The blanket works exactly like that. It acts as a transition object, something familiar your brain recognizes as the doorway into sleep. The moment it touches your body, your mind starts letting go of roles, responsibilities, and alertness. Emotionally, it's the point where you're no longer required to respond, decide, or hold yourself together. The blanket tells your mind you don't have to perform anymore. And once that message lands, something deeper begins to activate. Because this feeling didn't start in adulthood. It started much earlier than you think.
If you let your mind drift for a second, you might feel it. A memory without clear images, a sensation more than a scene. Being tucked in at night, the weight of a blanket pulled up gently, the feeling of being hidden, protected, unreachable by the dark. Maybe you used to hide under the covers, turning them into a small, safe world of your own. What most people don't notice is that moments like these don't disappear. Your brain stores them quietly, not as stories, but as feelings, as templates for safety. From a psychological point of view, these early experiences teach your nervous system what protection feels like. And as adults, we don't consciously remember them, we recreate them. Without realizing it, your body seeks the same sensations that once meant care, warmth, and safety. This isn't nostalgia, it's not immaturity, it's how emotional memory works. Your brain doesn't ask how old you are, it asks a simpler question. Do we feel safe enough to rest? And when the answer feels familiar, your body responds. But here's the part that really changes how you see yourself. Because this habit doesn't mean you're dependent, it means your brain learned something useful, and it's been using it ever since. You've probably felt this before. You're sleeping somewhere else. A hotel, a friend's house, maybe even a family visit. The bed is fine, the room is quiet, but the blanket feels wrong. Too light, too heavy, the texture isn't familiar. And no matter how tired you are, your sleep stays shallow. You wake up often, you never fully drop into rest. What's happening here isn't coincidence. The brain learns to associate relaxation with very specific sensations. Over time, those sensations become an anchor. Weight, texture, the way the blanket rests on your body. When they're present, your nervous system relaxes. When they're missing, your brain stays slightly alert, as if something important hasn't been checked off yet. And this is the moment where many people turn on themselves. They think they're too sensitive, too picky, too dependent. But that's the wrong frame. This isn't weakness, it's your brain seeking predictability. Your brain didn't fail, it adapted. It found a reliable way to help you feel safe enough to rest, and it held on to it. And when you finally understand that, something shifts. Shame starts to dissolve, judgment softens. Because now, instead of fighting your own mind, you begin to see it working for you. And that understanding opens the door to a completely different relationship with sleep. So if you've ever judged yourself for needing a blanket to sleep, let that go now. You're not strange, you're not fragile, you're human. What looks like a simple habit is actually your brain using safety, memory, and calm in the most efficient way it knows. That piece of fabric isn't just keeping you covered, it's activating deep emotional signals, quieting your nervous system, and telling your mind it's finally allowed to rest. And here's the truth that matters most. If it helps you sleep, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Sleep isn't about following rules or looking normal. It's about giving your brain what it needs to shut down and recover. And when you understand that, you stop fighting yourself and start feeling in control. If this felt like you, if at any point you thought this is literally me, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Not because you have to, but because this space is about understanding the mind without judgment. And share this with someone who can't sleep without their blanket either. Sometimes all it takes to rest better is knowing there was never anything wrong with you in the first place.